Recently, I made a video called Why Learn Music Theory or What's It Good For? And it went through and it was like, try and memorize this and then try and memorize that. And it evolved eventually from here to finally all cows eat grass, bovine farts. And the letters are the same, right? They're in different order and then they're portioned out. But what I tried to say was that music theory does this for you. It goes from random notes or random letters to groupings of things until finally also intelligible things that you can quickly memorize. And so somebody can know this in just a couple seconds and retain that, write it down perfectly from memory, assuming that you have these words in your vocabulary and you speak English, I guess. And the question came up fairly because I stopped the video at that point. I'll link the video below so you can see it. But they said, why did you use this sentence, all cows eat grass, bovine farts? Seems a little not very genteel. And some of you already know this, but maybe some people out there that are just new to music theory don't. This is the mnemonic device for the notes on the bass clef. That's why we used it. So if you go to, like, if you were in that lecture that I was preparing, then you'll find that there's an exercise that says, well, if you look at all the spaces here, then it's all cows eat grass. And the top one right there above is B for bovine, and the bottom one below is F for farts, and that's it, right? That's why we did it. And I thought I'd make a video about maybe not why learn music theory, but how learn music theory. It's clearly not how to speak English because it's not grammatically correct, but it's kind of fun. So here's what this is about, and this is how that workshop or lecture would go on. It'd say, we learn music theory like we learn other things through repetition, right? But to do it correctly, I like to talk about 4 S's that go with it, where we shorten things, we slow things, we simplify things, and we solidify things. Many people, when they're practicing, understand about shortening things, going small little bits, and slowing things down. And you could say that's a form of simplification, but that's not the thing we're talking about. Anyway, I want to take this all cows eat grass and do the worksheet and show you how this works. So this video is actually about how to learn music theory, and in fact, how to learn everything, although modes of things make slight differences. So we want to repeat, practice, right? Repetition. But to make it effective until we're practicing doing full things, right? At the beginning, we want to shorten what we're practicing into small enough, memorable little bits, right? We want to slow it down, right? So we can focus on a specific skill or something that we're looking at. We want to simplify, and I'll show you in the terms of what this worksheet is, how that would work. But if we were practicing, for instance, if I'm learning to play a song on the ukulele or the piano, I might only do the right hand or the left hand, or I might strum the right hand but keep the chords just like no chords at all, just mute the strings. This is a way to simplify things. Or maybe I will only hum the melody rather than trying to sing all the lyrics. There's different ways to simplify or decomplexify the act of making the music, or in this case, learning something. And then solidify. This is something that we all understand, but it's never taught explicitly, which is to take something that's abstract and turn it into something that is more concrete. And an excellent example of that is this very thing right here, where we say, all cows eat grass. It's a mnemonic device, right? When we want to learn the notes in triads, you can say that B triads have B chords and D chords, or B notes, D notes, and F notes in them. And then you can solidify that into B, D, F, best darn fries, or something, so that it becomes something that you can remember rather than random stuff. Eventually, after you know it well enough, it has its own identity, and that's fine, but in the short term. So this worksheet will do all of these things, okay? It's going to shorten the experience because we have only 8 things in a line, okay? We're going to go slowly, meaning we're not going to try and rush through these. We're going to try and reinforce and remember why these things are what they are, okay? We're going to simplify because we're only doing the spaces and we're not doing ledger lines right now, okay? So we have made it simpler that way, and we have solidified it by giving it mnemonic devices. Repetitions, depending on which one we need, we will emphasize one of these things. And by the end of this, if you didn't read the notes in bass clef, you will, at least these ones. And then that gives you a leg up or a way to start doing the other ones. So remember that all cows eat grass. First space is all, next space is cows, next space is E, and next space is G. That's an A note, a C note, an E note, and a G note, okay? But this is how to practice. So we're going to repeat that, and we're going to start by doing the simplest one of these. It's in order. We're not even going to call out, this is an all, so it's an A. We're just going to call out the names until we get good at that. We'll take pauses. We'll go slowly too, okay? So here we go. Ready? And I'm going to pretend that I'm the student as well. I'm going to remember that in bass clef, the low notes, the first one is all. Second space right here is cows. Third space is eat. Fourth space is grass. I'm not even going to go on yet. I'm just going to do a repetition of that again. Okay? All cows eat grass. All right. Now, we'll, again, fragment this, do repetitions, and maybe we'll just make it one level. Since this is easy now, we'll make it one level more difficult. All. Different location, same note. All. Cows. All cows. All cows. Eat. All cows eat. All. You got to think through this one. Eat. Cows grass. All cows eat. So again, remember what we're doing here is we've shortened it. We've slowed the process down. We're taking a break now. That's another way that we shorten. We've simplified it by only doing a limited set, and we've even introduced them in very, very specific ways. And we've solidified it by giving it the names, a sentence that makes sense to us, okay? Once this level of complexity is easy, we can move on to the next step. So now let's just try this again and see how we do. All cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. Eat grass. Eat grass. Eat grass. Eat grass. Remember this one? You can go up this way, or you can come back down, or you can maybe just have it memorized. It's cows. All, right? The next line has them in a little more random order, and you may have to go through, but eventually you want to, like, for instance, you might know that this is all, but you might have to go like all cows eat and eat. But then stop and make it smaller, make it simpler, and just reinforce that. Anytime you had to count through something, pause and go back. All eat. And then all cows. All eat. All cows. Remember what the top one is? Grass. All grass. Right? Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to start here and we're going to go in a different order. All cows. All grass. All eat. Now we're just going to try them. All eat. Cows grass. Cows eat. All grass. At this point, I might take a break. After 3-4 minutes, and this is actually very important to shorten, most people's brains are actually starting to give you less return for the investment of time. Walk away, do something else, do some push-ups, practice something else, do some dishes, get some homework done, answer a phone call, and then just come back to this. Most people can practice for 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then after that, you'll notice that your focus and your learning is kind of not as good, right? Just as an aside, remember this, Bovine Farts. Bovine Farts. So you could continue afterwards and add more difficult patterns, extra notes, right? Or you can now make it a little less simple, right? You're bubbling each one of these out. For instance, let's go back to the very beginning now. And instead of saying all cows eat grass, cows all, you're going to go A. You're going to go cows, so it's a C. You're going to say eats, so it's an E. Grass, so it's a G. And you're going to morph away from the mnemonic device, but only when you're ready to, only when you're good at doing the words, right? And that's how we do this, okay? Do this a few times, 5 minutes, walk away from it, and in a day or two, you have this down, they're yours. You've decoupled it from the words. You might say, well, how do I learn the ledger lines, the ones that go above and below? Well, this is also like in the packet. You know, at some point I'm going to put up an announcement that these packets are available as PDFs on a website. I have one. It's justjewel.com. Jewel spelled Juel.com. And there's PDFs of, maybe other PDFs. There's recordings of things that we've done. I'm not sure if there's PDFs you can download, but I'll look into that. And when that happens, I'll do that. But here's a different mode of doing this. This is another test that I've made, and I apologize, these are a little small on your screen, but they have a mix of non-ledger lines and ledger lines. First off, if you see something on a line, like right there, right, you just look at the one below it. You go, all cows eat grass. That's an G, so the next one up is an A, right? This is just above farts, the F right there, so it's a G, okay? So those are easy. And then these ledger lines you have to keep going up and down. And here's how I recommend doing this to my students. There's actually 3 of these tests. They go through 23 notes, right? And what we do is over a week, we say, just go through here and name all the notes you know. If there's ever a note that you don't know, like let's say you get all, A, and you get bovine, bovine, B, but this one eludes you, right? Just circle it. Go on, okay? And only mark the ones that you know the answers to and you know them really well without counting a lot. Then maybe there's all the ledger lines. Maybe there's some of them you don't know. Maybe there's 10 of them you don't know. Just study 3. I give an answer key. There's the answers right there, right? So you can go and check it. But then all you do is you study 3. That's shortening, right? And you give yourself some time away from the quiz. That's slowing it down, simplifying. It's all these kind of things. You make up your own methods for knowing that one. Like, for instance, this is the lowest one. There's 3 ledger lines down, and that's a G, okay? So maybe you have to just go like, G, that's the lowest note I've ever seen. It's in the bass clef, and it's below 3 ledger lines, and it's below there. You come up with your own solidification. But you only study 3. Just study 3. And then you take the test again, and there's a second test right there. Same thing, just different order. You do the same thing. You take the whole test, you mark the ones you know, and then you just, just make a note of the ones you don't know. You should be 3 better now, right? And then study 3 more, right? And you can use these as flashcards in their own right. Just cut a little hole out of a piece of paper, and you can move them around and things like that. Right? And if it takes you a week, because I like to say study and then do the test again the next day or 2 days from then. But if it takes you a week or it takes you 10 days or something, learn 2 or 3 at a time. In 2 weeks from now, you could be absolutely bonkers good at even the ledger lines of this. And I have some of these for treble clef as well. So you don't have to learn them all. You just got to learn 3. And then you have to learn them the next day, another 3. And you'll be done. There's only 23 notes here, right? Probably know half of them or more already. Repetition, but make your repetition good. Shorten it, slow it down so you can focus on a specific thing. Simplify the complexity of what you're doing. and solidify it. Now, you don't have to do all of these all the time, but if you're only shortening things and only slowing things down, you're not locking into some other things. Like you could have studied those notes slow and shortened for a long time, but if you just solidified and used a mnemonic, right, that would be perfect. You could play something very complex again and again and again, very short and slow, but if you're not ready for that, then you'll never speed it up properly without making a mistake. So, simplify it. Just play the right hand, or just play, like don't sing the words, or play the left hand and pantomime the right hand, or those kind of things. And when it comes to this, like I said, don't try and get all the answers, just get the ones you can and then add a little more. That's the idea behind it. That is how to learn music theory. And you'll see that I'll probably do a series of things saying like, how do we learn our chords? How do we learn our seventh chords? And we'll always refer back to this. But you don't have to wait for those. You can simply just go in and make your practice more effective, whether it's physical practice of music, learning music theory, or even learning any other topic, whether it's math or science or the arts and literature. Shorten it, slow it down, keep it simple, right? Give yourself spaces between the repetitions, figure ways to solidify things. All right.